So although I'll present about the electrical background, but I'll try to touch the mechanical aspects also, so that if the person who is there in the meeting is from some mechanical background or some electronics, some control part of that, they will also may look out some of the part that to be captured by them. So good afternoon once again, all of you. Myself, Dr. Ganesh Prajapat, and I am teaching here at Engineering College Bikaner, that is the Constitute College of Bikaner Technical University, Bikaner, here in Rajasthan. And I have done my MTech from NITTR Chandigarh in 2011, and I have done my PhD from IIT Delhi in the Department of Electrical Engineering in the Power System Group in 2018. So my research interest basically includes the optimal and estimation-based control of wind energy conversion systems. Although I have also worked some other renewable energy systems, like I have worked on some solar-based power generation systems, and mainly I used to follow the simulation type of thing. So I have worked some of work has been based on that one the Doppler RT, that is one kind of physical system wherein we can simulate the simulation on a realistic background basically. So that is one kind of hardware which is basically simulating the software. I mean MATLAB simulation also. So I have also worked there on also during my PhD. So and one more thing which I want to mention here is that I have completed one of the project on the frequency regulation that is based on wind energy conversion system. That is, whenever we are having one wind energy conversion system or any kind of renewable energy system, then there is the problem of frequency regulation. Whenever the amount of this renewable power is higher and higher, then this problem persists very much. That has also been discussed a lot about this one by Rohit Bakar also during the last day in his session. So I have completed one of the project in that part also, wherein I have proposed one of the modified control for the frequency regulation that was based on wind energy conversion system. Um, Although I have visited all that altogether, I have visited many international and national conferences outside India also. I have visited some Victoria University, Melbourne, as well as I have visited University of Auckland, New Zealand also. And I have got the grant twice from DST, is an international travel support in the ITS, that is basically to visit the international conferences outside India. So this is all about me, and I should share my screen and I'll present what exactly the presentation is on today. So here is my screen. I think I should stop sharing first, otherwise I don't know which screen is visible to you. So I would like to share my presentation, and okay, well, so I think I hope now my screen is visible to you all. I'm making it full screen. Here, this is all about the optimal control of wind power generation systems. So I'll talk about the optimal control of such systems. So basically, when I go through the content, startingly, I'll just give the fundamentals about the wind energy conversion system. Although, is I already said the participants are from different background, so I'll touch the basic part or the fundamental part of the wind energy conversion system first. Then I'll go through one of the optimal control, that is linear quadratic regulator (LQR). That I'll discuss in deep about that one also. that how an optimal control will work in a wind energy conversion system to stabilize the complete system or the complete mechanism. So here is the outline for the presentation in the session today. Here we will discuss about first introduction, then wind energy conversion systems, wherein how a wind turbine system, what are the various components of a wind energy conversion system, and how the wind turbine behaves. That will we will see in the wind turbine characteristics. Then we will see various generators to be used in the wind energy conversion systems, which are basically used in the literature also, and physically with or practically the generators to being used in practice in wind power generation systems. Further, for the purpose of simulation and for the realistic responses of the wind energy conversion system, we will model the grid connected DFIG wind turbine system. Basically, DFIG is one of the generator, doubly fed induction generator, which is basically employed or the mechanically coupled with the turbine to generate the electrical power. This specific kind of generator has its some specific properties, some specific characteristics, so that it could be able to give the maximum amount of power out of the wind energy. So that's why I'll mainly concentrating on the DFIG, that is doubly fed induction generator. So basically, this name suggests that it can feed from both the sides, double fed. So that's why its name is DFIG. We'll see this one also. So then in the modeling part, along with the DFIG generator, we will also model the wind turbine and drivetrain. That is the drivetrain, which is basically in between the turbine and generator. And then further we will see the various controllers. I hope you have many of you have already know about this one. There is MPPT controller, maximum power point tracking control, and there are other more controls are there with the DFIG based wind generation systems. We will also talk about that one also. Then how an DFIG based wind power generation will operate with the different operating conditions. So that will also be discussed in the open loop and closed loop kind of thing we will see. Then the important part, that is the damping through LQR, that is linear quadratic regulator. So basically this LQR is nothing, there is one kind of a feedback, state feedback control, wherein minimum energy is to be used to control or to damp the wind energy conversion system. That's why its name is optimal. Why optimal? Because we are minimizing the use of energy to damp out the oscillations of that this particular kind of system. System means, when I talk about system, means that is wind energy conversion system. So we will see these outline, these contents throughout this presentation. So coming to the introduction.
I'm
So
sorry.
here is the generalized thing.
I'm
Yes,
sorry to
please.
interrupt. The slides are not changing. I think your outline slides, but that is not visible.
Yes, is it now? Is it visible introduction? Here is the introduction slide over the screen.
No, 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 that is not visible. We are only seeing the title slide.
Okay, okay. So now let me see. Is there any problem with this one? No, no. I think I don't know that where is there any problem. So here is now, I think, introduction slide. Is it visible to you all, sir? Introduction.
Yeah, yeah. Now it is
This
visible.
is the okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Thank you
It is
very much,
visible.
sir. Thank you
Introduction
for
is visible.
responding. So this is very generalized aspects about the wind energy conversion system. I'll just read out some of the aspects, some of the basics regarding wind power generation systems. The generation of electrical power from renewable energy sources has been increased significantly in recent years, as all of the experts in all the sessions have discussed. India has the fifth largest installed wind power capacity in the
Extremely
world
sorry to
after
interrupt.
some countries like China. Yes, yes,
Extremely
exactly.
sorry to interrupt. Can you please make it full screen mode?
What?
Make it full screen mode, please.
In my side, it
Your
is full
presentation
screen
is not
only.
in full screen
Is
mode.
it
Is
not
it
visible, sir? I have
because
make it
you have shared
so.
for
Let
that
me.
particular window?
Yes,
You have
yes.
shared particular window, so that it is not coming at full screen. You have to share your whole
Okay, okay,
screen,
all
then
right.
it
So
will
I
be
think I should
it will be
share the
visible.
entire screen. Okay, okay. I'll
Yeah, yeah.
should I share entire screen? Is it?
Yeah, that will then your presentation will be coming as full screen.
Okay, okay. All right. So I think I should first stop presenting, then I'll start presenting through entire slide. Okay, let me do this one also.
Entire screen, yes.
So it is being shared actually. Uh, it may
No,
take
actually,
time.
your side, I think internet is
Is it
poor.
visible now?
Not yet visible. Now you can make it full screen.
Okay, okay, okay. All right, all right. Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, sir. I think now it is visible, and I am making it full screen. So
Yes,
hopefully this is visible to
yes,
you.
yes. And now it's
So here
working
is the
fine.
full. Okay, okay. So I was, yes, yes. Thank you very much. So again, I was talking about some basics about the wind power. So here is of 25th of February 2021, the total installed wind power capacity in India was about 40 gigawatt. This has also been talked about Sunroy sir in the last session in the last day. The Ministry of New and Renewable Energy said the targeted 60,000 megawatt for the wind power generation by the end of year 2022. Further, as I already said, the most of the generation based on this wind power are consisting mainly the DFIG generator. So that's why I have seen in most of the literatures that DFIG is used in 70 to 80% of the wind energy conversion systems because it has some flexible control at variable wind speed. It has low converter ratings because there is the converters in its rotor side. We will see that it's also in detail. So this is one of the benefit of this using this DFIG and reduced turbine stress also. Further, a lot of researches has been reported on basically one of the important control, that is MPPT control, through different ways. Like some are doing some observing some states. Some people are doing some estimation kind of thing, and then they finally they are just making the control to extract the maximum amount of power from the wind. So basically, that is coming to the MPPT controller. So MPPT control has been implemented various ways, a lot of ways in the literature. So further, many others have also done on work on damping control. Damping control means that controllers, which basically reduces, simply attenuates the oscillation of wind energy conversion
इसमें मेरे
system or the
गाइड है
wind
यार
turbine
मेरे
system,
गाइड में
which
एकदम
may
दोस्त है
arises because of the change.
खुद गायब हो जाती है पता नहीं कभी कभी से मुझे बुलाया भी होगा
Sorry, want to say something?
पर ये वाला जो
Are,
क्वेश्चन है ये इम्पोर्टेंट
is
है
there anyone who want to say something? Participants are requested to please mute yourself because okay, participants are requested to please mute yourself. If you want to have any query, you can even ask. But okay, all the way. Okay, thank you. So I was talking about the literature. So various controls regarding the MPPT control, damping control, some pitch control, and frequency regulation of kind of generation through wind are reported. Very much reports are available in the literature about these controllers. So coming to the basic and generalized wind energy conversion system, this is very much fundamental. So a wind energy conversion system is nothing. Basically, that is converting the kinetic energy of the wind into the electrical one. So complete mechanism basically converting the wind energy into the electrical one. So here you can see on your screen the very much generalized and fundamental way of converging wind power into the electrical one. So as soon as blows, the wind turbine rotates, and this is mechanically coupled with this one. See here the generator. So this is generator. So this is mechanically coupled with the generator, which finally further connected to the grid. So here this mechanical drivetrain through which these two are mechanically coupled, this is basically a gearbox. Usually the speed of rotation of this wind turbine, that RPMs are very slow, very low. So we have to make it larger, that means we have to have the good number of revolutions so that a constant frequency output voltage can voltage or the electrical power can be generated out of this generator, right? So this gear trend is basically increasing the speed of rotation of the shaft. From here is the lower speed, here is the higher speeds. Then further, there are various lot of controllers are there associated with the generators, which basically which may give the control signal to the turbine blades, turbine yaw control, or may give the control to the generator for various active power control, reactive power control, and all. So here is the fundamental structure. So basically, there are two kind of conversion in the energy. First one is that wind is converted, that basically turbine is converting the kinetic energy of the wind into the mechanical one, since we are having the mechanical rotation at this end. So that's why this is the conversion from kinetic to the mechanical. And then further, this mechanical is being converted into electrical one through this generator. So here is the generator simply converting the mechanical to the electrical. So there are two kind of energy conversion in a basic or a fundamental wind power generation system. So coming to the next one, okay. See, so if we are calculating the output power, or if you are observing that how much an electrical power will be there out of a wind power generation system. So we must talk about the various parameters that are being there, which are responsible for the amount of power to be delivered by the wind power generation system. So here, see, this is, let's say, wind turbine, or I must say this is the complete mechanism, wind turbine plus generator. This is the complete mechanism. Let's say this is the black box wherein the wind energy conversion system is there. And here is the output power, output electrical power, which is our requirement basically. So the various input parameters are like these one: rotor geometry, lift and drag parameters. Basically, when although we will not go in deep about the geometry of the blades of the rotor, but that is very much important that you might have seen, if anyone of you have seen the wind turbine, the blades of the wind turbine has some specific shape. The shape is identical. The shape of the blade is some specific that has some specific shape. If you are cutting a blade, that means wind turbine blade, and you will see the cross section of that blade, that is known as aerofoil or airfoil. So that aerofoil structure is very much important. So there is one another research area, maybe some aerodynamics and avionics, that the shape of the that aerofoil is very much important when you are considering the blade for a wind turbine. So that has some lift parameters, drag parameters. These parameters to be must be taken for some specific purposes, like the aerofoil shape for a helicopter blade may be some kind of different, and the shape of the aerofoil for a wind turbine may also be different. The aerofoil shape of the propeller, the fan which is there in the propeller of the aeroplane, that has some also again different shape of this aerofoil. So this is very much important. There is another area of research wherein the shape of the blade is also to be taken into consideration. Then the wind speed, obviously, since we are talking about the output power from the wind, so wind speed is one of the important parameter which is to be there for the electrical power output. Then some more parameters like turbine speed, obviously turbine speed, there is the pitch angle. Beta is simply pitch angle. Pitch angle is nothing. This is the orientation of the blade with respect to the basically pitch angle. So sometimes there some wind turbine modern wind turbine systems consist some arrangement at the hub. Hub means that is the center of the wind turbine where all the blades are connected. So that is known as hub. So blade can move at its axis at the hub of the turbine. So that changing of that angle with respect to the flow of wind or the direction of the wind, that is basically associated with the pitch angle, right? So this pitch angle is also very much important maybe for a specific pitch angle that may give maximum amount of power, and it may be that any specific combination of wind speed and a pitch angle may not give the power at all. So this pitch angle is if means this pitch angle is playing a very much role in the electrical power output. So other than these parameters, the output power or torque of a wind turbine also depends on wind velocity, as I already said, air density, then size of the turbine, as well as the characteristics of the wind turbine. Characteristics means these characteristics basically coming out from the structure of the blade. The shape of the cross section of the blades also affects the turbine characteristics and has the output power. And then there is one of the theory, that is blade element momentum method. Right, this basically a theory which exactly giving the estimated power out of a wind turbine, how much mechanical power is available at its shaft of the wind turbine, that can be evaluated through this theory, that is blade element momentum theory. Basically we are calculating the momentum of each element of the blade. What does it mean by element? Basically, if you are cutting a blade in various sections, let's say we are having let's say 50 meter of blade, we are having a 50 meter of length of blade, and let's say I am cutting that blade in let's say 10 sections, so each section will be of 5 meter, right? So that section of 5 meter that consists some lift coefficient, some drag coefficient. So for each element of the blade, like in the case of our case of 50 meter blade, there are, let's say, 10 sections. So each section will be 5 meter. That 5 meter section has its own momentum. Similarly, the other other elements will also have some other momentum. So by calculating the momentum of each one of the element, and if you are adding or integrating all of these momentum, that will finally gives the complete blade momentum. So that momentum will exactly showing that how much power you can get out of its out of the wind turbine, or you can get the shaft of that wind turbine. So this is very much important. I also worked on this one, wherein there is a complete algorithm through which you can calculate that how much power, mechanical power, is being generated by a wind turbine. So this is again very much fundamental about this one. So as I talked about the output power from the wind turbine, so if you are mathematically writing, you can write here that P aerodynamic, or the air, is equals to half rho A Cp lambda beta and V wind cube. So this is nothing. This is simply showing that on which parameters output power depends. So see here, this power depends on this. Rho is simply air density, A is cross section, or I must say swept area by the wind turbine blades. Since if turbine rotates, it simply makes the circle kind of thing. So the area of circle, or the area swept by the wind turbine, is A. Then Cp is some turbine coefficient. Basically, this is the characteristics of the wind turbine, which basically depending on lambda and beta. Beta is pitch angle and lambda is tip speed ratio. I'll show here at the bottom. You can see here that the tip speed ratio is something a parameter which is there with the associated with the wind turbine, and wind is simply basically wind speed, VW. So with this way, you can see that the aerodynamic power or output power of a wind turbine is very much dependent on the wind speed. So see, this is the directly proportional to the cubic of the wind speed. So if it is changing, even then if the wind speed is slightly changing, then the aerodynamic power out of the wind turbine will be changing very much, right? So the Cp lambda beta is the characteristics of the wind turbine, and classical formula for this one, although we can calculate this Cp lambda beta through blade element momentum method also. That blade element momentum method basically giving this Cp, that is turbine power coefficient. You can understand like a efficiency of that turbine. Basically, this Cp is kind of efficiency term, which basically giving that how much power is being converted from the wind to the mechanical, right? Mechanical power to the something wind power. That is kind of kind of that thing, although it is not the efficiency, but this is simply a constant coefficient depending upon the size and shape of the wind turbine. Right, so this is very much classical formula. This basically, I think, has been found through some curve fitting method. Although as I already said that actually this CP will be found through that blade element momentum method, but this formula will basically fitting that curve which can be obtained through blade element momentum method. Herein, this lambda is nothing. This lambda is the tip speed ratio, which is basically the ratio of speed of the tip of the blade to the wind speed. So basically, this tip speed ratio, its name suggests also, tip speed means the speed of the tip of the blade. Let's say if the length of the blade is r, so that means the radius of this wind turbine, or by the area in this making the circle. So r is, let's say, the length of the blade, and omega t is, let's say, the speed of rotation of the turbine. So this omega t, that means the angular speed multiplied by the radius, that is basically giving the linear speed of the tip of the blade basically. So that's why this lambda is tip speed ratio, which is basically the ratio of tip speed of the blade to the wind speed. So this will basically, although let's say, see here, if the wind speed is constant for the time being, I'm just assuming that V wind or the wind speed is constant. Let's say R is also constant. At that time only, this lambda or the tip speed is nothing. This is simply the turbine speed. That is all, right? So this basically, when the wind speed is constant, then tip speed ratio is nothing. This is simply turbine speed only, omega t. So that's why if you are drawing the CP, that is turbine power coefficient, in terms of turbine, in terms of some tip speed ratio, that will almost exactly same as the CP versus omega t. That means CP versus lambda, the shape of the CP versus lambda to the CP versus omega t will remain almost same. So I am showing here the different the characteristics of the wind turbine at different pitch angle as well as different wind speeds. So see here is the two typical curves which has been obtained through that classical formula, although turbine power coefficient CP, which I have written in the last slide. Although the same can be found through the blade element momentum method, considering the shape of the cross section of the blades, that is aerofoil. I have also worked on this one during my PhD. Also, I have one of the paper on this one, wherein I have found this turbine power coefficient through blade element momentum method, and that I have matched these that curves through this classical mathematical formula. So that is almost matching, and even I can correct that this fitting way, or I must say the mathematical formulation of the CP that I have corrected some way, that has been presented in one of my paper. So here is the see, this is the turbine power coefficient CP. This CP, which is exactly giving the characteristics of the wind turbine. So that's why here written wind turbine characteristics. So basically, see, it is if the tip speed ratio 0 to 15, you may see that this tip speed ratio depends on turbine speed as well as wind speed. This you should keep in mind, that this tip speed is simply omega t r upon V wind. So here, as soon as tip speed ratio increases, or I must say the turbine speed, you just can understood that this is the turbine speed only, that is all. So the turbine power coefficient will increases with the increase in the turbine speed. But see, at one of the value, after that, even then the turbine speed are increasing, but the output power from the turbine is decreasing. So this is very much interesting, and this is at the different pitch angle. If the pitch angle is 0 degree, 5 degree, 10 degree, 15 degree, see, let's say a constant wind speed is there, although this has been plotted for a constant wind speed. So if there is a constant wind speed, you may see that if pitch angle is 0 degree, then the turbine can generate the highest power. But even then, if we are having good wind speed, but the pitch angle is, let's say, 25 degree, then it is generating very lesser power. So one can understand that the pitch angle has very important role when we are generating the electrical power. So basically that is showing in this curve. Similarly, at the right hand side, you can see here in this figure also, at the different wind speeds, see 8 meter per second, 9, 10, 11, 12 meter per second. And here is the turbine speed. And here is the turbine power. Basically, this is turbine power. The shape of the curve of the turbine power will looks almost same as the turbine power coefficient. Why? Because you see in the last mathematical formulation also, see we have seen here, see this P aerodynamic or the output turbine power is basically directly proportional to the Cp. See, if the wind speed is constant, A is always constant, because once you construct the turbine, that A will remain constant, rho will be constant, half is constant. So this P aerodynamic is same as Cp lambda beta. So that's why the shape of the curve will be the Cp, and this P aerodynamic will remain almost same. So that's why this turbine power, see this turbine power, here is the turbine power coefficient. So here the curves are for 0 degree. So if the beta is 0 degree, see this blue curve in both of the cases are same. So since this curve is for a specific wind speed, that is 12 meter per second. That is, let's say the wind speed is blowing a 12 meter per second speed, and here is the turbine speed. See, you can see here that it is not like that if wind is higher, then the turbine speed will be higher. If the wind is lower, then the turbine speed will be lower. This is not like that. This is something like that. See, here you can see from this figure also, the turbine speed may be different even at a constant wind speed. See, this is the constant wind speed, 12 meter per second, but the output power, see blue one, I'm just talking about only one curve. So see, the turbine power will be different at the different turbine speed, even then the wind speed is constant. So here is one of the interesting thing is that, see, if the omega t equals to 1 per unit, then the output power will be highest or the maximum, where I have put my pointer. So this is the maximum power which can be extracted from a wind turbine, right? So you see, even then, if after this point, after that is omega t equal to 1, let's say 1.2, 1.3, see, even then the turbine speed is higher. Wind speed is constant, again, I'm just repeating that wind speed is constant, but let's say this turbine speed is higher. Even then we are higher speed, let's say here, where I have put my pointer. Even then, at this point, the wind speed, this turbine speed is higher, wind speed is constant, then also it is giving the lower power. Wind turbine is giving the lower power, lower turbine power. Why? Because this is the characteristics of the wind turbine. The way through which this turbine giving the power is something like this. So that's why, and one more thing is that if the turbine speed is, let's say, lesser than the optimal, let's say I am giving this term optimal optimal turbine speed, omega t equal to 1 per unit, that is, let's say, optimal turbine speed. So if the turbine speed is lesser than the optimal turbine speed, let's say here where I have put my pointer. So if this is lower than turbine speed is lower than the nominal or the optimal turbine speed, then also the turbine gives the lower power. So what we need to do, we have to have some kind of controller which basically runs the turbine all the time at its optimal power. Let's say if the wind speed is 12 meter per second, then we must have some controller which basically drive the turbine speed at 1 per unit. Similarly, let's say if the turbine, let's say the wind speed is 11 meter per second. So if the wind speed is 11 meter per second, then let's say here about 0.8 or 0.9, say let's say 0.9. So that case, optimal turbine speed will be 0.9. So if the wind speed is 11 meter per second, then we must operate that turbine 8.9 per unit. Similarly, in RAD1 curve, see, if the wind speed is 8 meter per second, then let's say here it is about 0.6, let's say, then the turbine speed must be 0.6. So how can we do like this? I mean, if the wind speed is different, so we need the different turbine speed so that we can extract the maximum amount of power from that wind turbine. So that's why this maximum power point tracking control comes into the picture. What is that? So if the wind speed is 12 meter per second, its peak value is this one. Maximum power it will give it this speed. So what we need to do, we need to drive the turbine in such a way that it must operate at its optimal value, so that it can give the maximum power out of it. So that basically what exactly will be done by this one. This will be done by one of the controller, which basically or continuously observing the speed and power, and will give the optimal speed so that it can give the maximum power out of it. Right. So that's why this MPPT comes into the picture. We will see in later on slides also. So actually, I'm putting more time on this slide is also because I just want to discuss about the maximum power point tracking control in the coming slides. So here, this will be very easy to understand how an MPPT controller works. Right. So that's why the maximum power of the wind turbine is at any specific turbine speed, and thus the MPPT comes into the picture to capture the maximum amount of power from the wind turbine. So then. Okay, so here is the some more characteristics, or I must say, the some operating points in practice, which are there when an operator is operating a wind power generation system. So again, this is the same characteristics which you have seen in the last slide. See, here is the cut-in wind speed, and here is the rated or nominal wind speed. Turbine speed. Sorry. Here is the cut-in. Actually, this is about 2 to 3 meter per second. Although this is associated with the turbine speed, but its name is cut-in wind speed. Then rated or oblique nominal wind speed, and this is the cut-out wind speed. Usually, in a classical case, this cut-in wind speed is about 3 to 4 meter per second wind speed, and this rated is almost 12 meter per second, and this cut out wind speed is 14 meter per second in a classical case or in a typical case. Before this cut-in wind speed, that is about 3 to 4 meter per second, we usually not operate the wind turbine, because below this 3 to 4 meter per second wind speed, the turbine will not generate the power at all. And at the cutout wind speed, that is after 14 meter per second, the turbine, we used to not operate the turbine, because there may be some problem of some HVRT and all, high voltage ride through kind of thing will be there, and we have some kind of mechanical brake also on the wind turbine. So after this cutout wind speed, you usually brake the speed of the turbine through some mechanical brake or through some control to control the pitch of the turbine blades. So here is this is the operating reason of the wind turbines. So basically, usually the operation of the wind turbine is in between the cut-in wind speed to the cut-out wind speed, wherein this is the rated, at which usually the turbine operates. So as I said, the cut-in wind speed, no power generation, and maximum and rated power generation at nominal wind speed, while after the cutout wind speed, the turbine generator need to be disconnected from the grid. So here is the some of the architecture which are being used in practice for the when we are integrating the wind energy conversion system to the grid. So there are three main architectures or the configurations which are being used. First one is simply induction generator based wind energy conversion system, wherein this is obviously turbine and then gearbox, basically increasing the speed of shaft, rotation of the shaft. And here is the generator. So the shaft is mechanically coupled with the rotor, and the stator is directly connected to the grid through some transmission line. So from the participants who are from the electrical background, they must be knowing that an induction generator requires some reactive power to deliver the active power out of it. So that's why here is a capacitor bank connected at the end of this generator. So basically this capacitor bank is availing the reactive power to this induction generator, and it will deliver the electrical power out of this one to the grid. Or these may be some isolated consumers also, and one more thing is that this kind of generation, since if as I already said, the wind is changing with respect to time continuously. So wind is changing continuously. So obviously, if the wind changes the turbine speed will also change, and because of that, the speed of rotation of this induction generator will also change. So because of that, although the speed of rotation of the induction generator will be varied, right? That will be changed. Why? Because of the speed of rotation of the turbine is changing due to the change between the speed. So here there is the property of the induction generator that it basically operates on the grid frequency. That means in this case there is no problem of the frequency, because whenever we operate an induction generator above the synchronous speed, it will be able to generate the electrical power, and it can inject the power to the grid. Like, but and the if you are talking about the frequency will be age same as the grid, so there is no problem of the frequency, although this induction generator will not able to support into the frequency regulation, because it itself works on the frequency of the grid. So whatever is the frequency, other, let's say 50 hertz frequency of the grid is there, then it will operate 850 hertz and operating above its synchronous speed. So this is one of the configuration. This is very robust kind of a structure, because there is no need of any kind of control and all. It simply delivers the power to the grid, right? Then another configuration is the WFI induction generator, DFIG. See, this is the DFIG. Basically, although this generator is something like that one also. Here is the turbine, then gearbox. This is the generator. So stator of the important thing is that the stator, that is this stator is electrically connected to the grid directly. See, this is here the connection shows that the stator is directly connected to the grid, while here, see, this is the rotor. There are some connections outside this generator from the rotor. See, you might have being confused that how a rotating stator can be connected to through some wire. Understood? I think that there may be some confusion to you. So I would like to tell you that there are some slip rings which are there at the shaft of the generator, and the rotor winding connections will be there to the slip rings, and there are some brushes which are resting on these slip rings, which basically giving the electrical connection out of the rotor circuit, right? So basically this is the electrical connection to the rotor, right? So what I mean to say is that this rotor is electrically also connected to the grid. So both of the part, that is stator as well as rotor, both of these part of the DFIG are connected to the electrically connected to the transmission line and through grid or the consumers. Right here, the rotor connection to the grid is through some back-to-back converters. Here, this is basically showing the converter. This is also a converter, and here is the capacitor bank, or simply a capacitor, which basically maintaining the constant DC voltage in between these two. So one might think that why we need these kind of converters here. So here I would like to tell you that basically you might have seen from the electrical background, the people are knowing that the speed, that the frequency of the currents and voltage of the rotor, that is different from the stator. Although the frequency of the stator voltage will be as same as the grid frequency in the as same as in the case of induction generator. So stator has the constant frequency of the grid, that is 50 hertz, but the frequency of the rotor will be different depending upon the speed of rotation of this generator. So if the speed is higher, then the frequency will be very much lower. Let's say if the this induction generator or the DFIG is operating at synchronous speed, in that case the frequency of this rotor circuit or the rotor circuit voltage and current will be zero. That is basically the frequency of the rotor. If I am let's say I am taking it FR, frequency of the rotor, so that will be equals to some slip multiplied by frequency of the stator. So slip is nothing. Slip is the difference of synchronous speed and the actual rotary speed of this generator. So basically slip is giving the frequency of this rotor voltage and current. So that's why the frequency of this one is depending upon its speed of rotation. So that's why whenever we are injecting the voltage to its rotor for control purpose, what exactly the purpose of these control converters? We are injecting some voltage to its rotor, like in synchronous generator, so that we could be able to control this generator for to control the speed of this turbine. Here is the important thing which I would like to say in one sentence, that we are injecting some voltage to the rotor of this DFIG so that we could be able to control the speed of rotation of this generator, this turbine, right? So basically this injection of the voltage to the rotor circuit enables us to control the DFIG for MPPT basically. So maximum power point tracking control will be done through this rotor circuit. So here is the 50 Hertz, as I already said, this is the grid. So here the 50 Hertz is there. So that AC of 50 Hertz should be converted into the DC. So this converter is simply converting AC to DC. And then DC will further be converted into the AC at the lower frequency, depending upon the speed of rotation of this rotor of this generator. Right. So in simple words, I mean to say in simple words that we are injecting the voltage at its rotor, specifically in the rotor, so that we could be able to control the speed of this generator. So that's why this rotor arrangement is there. And one more thing is there, at the different speed of operation, the DFIG will work in differently. Like let's say, if the speed of rotation of DFIG is higher than synchronous speed. Synchronous speed means like if you are having a generator with P number of poles and let's say the grid frequency is F, then we used to calculate synchronous speed equals to 120 F by P, right? So if the speed of rotation of DFIG is higher than synchronous speed, then that is known as super synchronous operation. I hope you understood. If the DFIG is operating at super synchronous speed, then this generator can deliver the power from its stator as well as its rotor also. Then if it is operating at synchronous speed, then that is known as simply synchronous operation. So at synchronous speed, there is no power transfer through this rotor, but only power will be delivered through its stator, like in the case of induction generator. So that is the synchronous operation. And another operation is known as, if it is operating below the synchronous speed, then that is known as subsynchronous operation. So the DFIG can operate at 3 different speeds: subsynchronous speed, synchronous speed, and super synchronous speed. So at the subsynchronous speed, it will deliver the power from stator, but it takes the power from rotor. And at the synchronous operation, it can deliver the power to the grid from its stator, but there is no power transfer through this rotor. And at super synchronous speed, it can deliver the power from both its side, stator as well as rotor. So that's why, since it is delivering the power from both sides, that means stator as well as rotor, so that's why it is known as doubly fed. So although it is induction generator only, this similar kind of this one, but there is the connections available at its rotor, so that's why it is known as doubly fed. I can tell you that if there is the zero voltage injected from its rotor side, then the complete structure of DFIG will be exactly the same as this induction type of generators. So basically these both structures are same. So if the speed of rotation of the generator is synchronous, then both of the mechanism will be exactly same. Right. So this was the second type. And third type of electrical power generation through wind is about the PMSG, that is permanent magnet synchronous generator. So you must be knowing that if there is a synchronous generator and if its speed is varying with respect to time, and if its speed change, then the output frequency, voltage frequency, which is coming out of that generator, that will also varies, right? That depends on the number of poles of that generator. So that will also change. Is someone wants to join actually? Okay, all right. So in this configuration, there is the synchronous generator only. Here, this is synchronous generator only. But there is the problem of variable frequency. As I already said, the speed of the rotation of the turbine varies. So that's why the frequency of the output voltage coming out of the synchronous generator. Actually, this is not WF index generator. Actually, I have copied from here to here. That's why this is basically PMS, the synchronous generator, permanent magnet synchronous generator. So the output voltage frequency or frequency of the output voltage coming out from the synchronous generator will be changed with respect to time because of the change in wind speed, right? So as soon as wind speed changes, frequency will change. So that changing frequency, we can't inject that changed frequency voltage to the grid. So we have to first stabilize or to maintain the frequency at a constant value. Let's say if the grid has 50 hertz, then the power to be injected to the grid must be 50 hertz, right? So what should we do? So this variable frequency voltage first will be converted into the DC. Basically, this is a converter, a power electronic converter. So this is simply AC to DC converter. So that variable frequency voltage will first be converted to the DC voltage, and then further this DC can be converted into AC of constant frequency. So here at this end, where at this complete mechanism is connected at here. See, this is the point of connection. So at this point of connection, the constant frequency voltage will be there, which is to be injected to the grid. So I hope you understood. So here, this synchronous generator is giving variable power, but these back-to-back converters will convert the variable frequency into the constant frequency output voltage. Right? So now here the available constant frequency output power will be injected to the grid, or it may be somewhere, some isolated consumers, isolated load. So here the problem is that you can't do this kind of arrangement for the high power applications. Why? Any one of you can tell me why we are not using such kind of arrangement for the high power applications? While this can be done, this generator arrangement can be done for the high power application. If any one of you have any idea. Anyway, so I think I should continue. Okay, maybe. Okay, so basically, this arrangement. See here, the total power which is being generated by the generator is passing through the generator, the converters. Here, these are the power electronic converters only, and the total power being generated by the generator is passing through these converters. So that means the full power being generated through the generator are passing through these power converters. So that's why in this, so that's why we require the high power these converter arrangements, right? So these converters must be very much highly rated. While in this case, in the case of DFIG, the power which is being transferred through the rotor circuit, that is about 20 to 30% of the total power. Total power which is being generated from this generator. So out of that power, only 20 to 30% will be exchanged through this rotor circuit. So that's why the rating of these converters in the case of DFIG will be very much lower as compared to this one, because in this case 100% power will be exchanged through will be transferred through this converter, while in this case only 20-30% of the power will be transferred through these converters. So that's why these kind of arrangement, that is PMSG based wind energy conversion systems, are suitable for the low power application. But if you are go for a high power application, then we must use the WF induction generator, because in this case we require lesser rating converters. So okay, so this was all about some basics about the fundamentals about the wind energy conversion system, wherein turbine characteristics and various generators employed with the converters we have discussed. Here I am coming on and concentrating to the DFIG based wind energy conversion systems, wherein I explain here the mathematical modeling of a complete DFIG based wind energy conversion system. So see here, you may see the main component of this WFAD induction generator based wind power system. You can see from here figure, this is the wind turbine. So we must mathematically explain or mathematically express this wind turbine. Then there is the gearbox that must also be defined in some mathematical way. Then there is the generator that must also be defined in some mathematical way. Then there is the controllers, which is then connection to the grid through some transmission line. So what we need to do, what we must do, we must first mathematically express all the components like a turbine, gearbox, generators, controllers, and grid interconnection. So we will now see the one by one mathematical way, although I will not go in deep about the equations, but I'll show you that all the component has its own mathematical expression or own mathematical way. So there are some interconnecting variables. These mathematical variable, or I must say the variables, these component have, these are interconnected. Means some of the variable of the wind turbine will be there in the gear train. Obviously, the gear train has some variable with the wind turbine as well as some variable in the generator. Similarly, generator has some variable associated with the controllers as well as grid connection. So all the mathematical equations of each component is interconnected, right? So so coming to the modeling of each one of the component. Okay, one more thing is that here you may see that this is basically known as MSC, machine side converter. Sometimes it is also known as sometimes it is simply let's say, see here, this is rotor side converter also, or machine side converter. So machine side converter or rotor side converter, this is the name of this converter is something like that, and this is the grid side converter because it is connected through the grid. So these two converters are there. So obviously two converter controllers has to be there: machine side converter controller and grid side converter controller, right? So these two controllers must also be there in the modeling equation. So coming to the again some points related to the DFIC based wind power system. So grid, this machine side controller or the rotor side converter and grid side converter are implemented in its rotor circuit, as I have also shown. Then rotor side converter controls active power and stator voltage, whereas grid side converter controls rotor reactive power and DC link voltage. Actually, see here in this one, both of the converters have their own responsibility, their own control. So that's why this is basically controlling the active and reactive power. This rotor side converter is basically converting the controlling the active and reactive. That is basically controlling the MPPT only. So what we need to do, this TE-ref, this reference must be set in something in terms of turbine speed in something that way that must keep tracking the maximum power points or the points of the characteristics of highest or maximum power. Similarly, this controller is also working for the stator voltage control, like in synchronous generator. You might be knowing in the case of synchronous generator, there is some exciter, which is basically a DC generator. DC voltage is being connected to the rotor of the synchronous generator, which basically is known as exciter, and that exciter controls the output voltage and active power of a synchronous generator. So similar in that sense, here is this machine side converter is nothing. This is simply an exciter. And grid side converter here is employed for the reactive power controller as well as for that one, this DC link voltage control. So here that's why. Okay, so here this as I already said, the rotor side converter controllers basically controlling the active power as well as the stator voltage, while grid side converter controls the reactive power and DC link voltage. The electrical power output from a DFIG is simply the sum of stator power and rotor power, then depending upon the operation of the DFIG, that is either it is operating at subsynchronous, synchronous, or supersynchronous. So in the case of subsynchronous, the rotor power will be negative because it basically absorbing the power from the stator from the grid. While if it is operating as synchronous, then PR will be 0, that is rotor power will be 0. And if it is operating at super synchronous speed, then the PR, that is the rotor power will be positive. So at super synchronous speed, PR, as I already said, the mathematical modeling of, okay, this is very important line here. The mathematical modeling of this system includes the models of wind turbine, gear train, as I already said, and then DFIG and converter controllers with DC link capacitor. So I'll model all these: wind turbine, drivetrain, DFIZ, converter controllers, and DC link capacitor. So here is some of the equations you can see on the screen. First, we will discuss about the wind turbine and drivetrain. So since we can understand that a generator is a kind of inertia that has some kind of rotating part. Further, the turbine is also a rotating part. So basically, two objects are which are rotating are coupled through some shaft wherein there is a gearbox, right? So this arrangement can be explained by some Newton's equations, wherein you see since the weight or I must say inertia of the turbine is very much high as compared to the generator, right? Because you might be knowing that a generator size of the turbine, you might be knowing that the size of the wind turbine is very big. If you have seen somewhere, a 5 megawatt wind turbine has a blade length of about 100 meters. You can think of that if a wind turbine has its blade of 100 meter, that means that has very big inertia. While a generator is a compact part and that has lower inertia as compared to the turbine. So that's why we used to model it in two mass model, basically two different masses, wherein the speed of turbine shaft and speed of the generator shaft that is being considered in two different ways. So that's why here is the turbine speed, change in turbine speed, and change in generator speed, and here is the twist angle. Basically, we also treating one of the twist angle, which is basically the angle of shaft at the turbine end and generator end. So there is the twist in the shaft also. So that is also there is a state. So omega T and omega R is the turbine speed. Yeah, this is the shaft torque, electrical torque, back torque, which is being put from the electrical side or the grid. And shaft torque is this shaft torque is across the gear train, and TT is the turbine torque. So turbine torque and shaft torque difference will give the turbine speed, then difference between the shaft torque and electrical torque. So basically there are three torques associated. See here in figure, here is at the turbine side, here is the turbine torque, here is the generator side, here is the shaft torque, and the torque which is being put from the back torque, which is basically back torque being put by the electrical side. Because whatever, if you are increasing the load, the torque will be increased, electrical torque will be increased. If you are lowering the load, that means you are lowering the electrical torque. So basically three torques. Here is the turbine torque, here is the shaft torque, and one of the back torque which is being put by the electrical side. So that's why, so if you are differentiating the TT and TS, then that will give the turbine speed. And if you are differentiating TT and TE, that is electrical torque, that will basically giving the generator speed, omega R. So that's why here is the omega R, TS minus TE, and TT minus TS is giving turbine speed. And in mathematical way, if you are differentiating these two speeds, it basically giving the rate of change of this twist angle of the shaft. Where this turbine torque, how can we get this turbine torque? So basically this turbine torque is nothing. This is the turbine power output, which we have seen that depends on the omega A, Cp, and V wind cube like that. So this is the turbine speed to the turbine, turbine power to the turbine speed. This will give the turbine torque. And here is the shaft torque that depends on the shaft stiffness, Ks, and it also depends on the damping of the shaft. So that with the Ks and CD, that is the stiffness constant of the shaft, this is damping constant of the shaft, that basically depends on the material which is being used with the for the manufacturing of the shafts. And here is the electrical torque. Obviously, this is electrical torque, or I must say this is the back torque being put by the grid. So obviously that depends on the electrical parameters. So here ED dash, EQ dash, IQS, IDS, these are the electrical parameters. Here the ED dash, EQ dash are the internal voltage of the IDs are simply Q and D component of the stator current. So again, this PT is nothing. This is simply V wind cube, as I already said. If you are calculating in per unit, it will be something like this. So PT. So TT will come out from this PT, while TS is something like this, and electrical torque is something like this. So if I put all these values Tt, Ts, Te in these equations, this will basically model the turbine as well as drivetrain. So these three equations basically mathematically modeling the wind turbine and drivetrain. Now coming to the generator. See, here is the generator equations. So from the participants who are from electrical side, they have also studied this dynamics of machine. They have equations of each and every generator. So these equations are almost same as the equations of induction generator. Like see, here is VQR, VDR, and VQR. These are the rotor voltage basically. So if you are putting this rotor voltage 0, that means if you are putting the rotor short circuited in the case of DFIZ, then this VDR, VQR will remain 0, will be 0 basically. So if you are putting this VDR, VQR, all parameters into 0, then these equations would become the equations of simply induction generator, right? But in the case of DFIZ, this VDR, VQR will not be 0. That is, these are the voltage which is being injected through its rotor circuit. So that's why these will be some values. So here the equations can be found in some textbook. So these 4 equations basically representing the dynamical equations of the generator basically. Here this W for induction generator. So see here LS, R1, R2, these are the parameters basically, the stator current, stator resistance, rotor resistance, mutual induction between inductance, stator inductance, rotor inductance, like that, right? Here the important thing is that this IQS, IDS, ED-, EQ-, these are changing with respect to time, because see here these are the rate of change of these parameters. So importantly, interestingly, you can see that here is the IQS, IDS, ED-, EQ-. 4 are the simple states which may be considered from the generator side. Right. So now coming, okay. So what we have completed yet? We have completed the this one wind turbine and drivetrain, then generator, and then coming to the grid integration. Right. So since we have seen that there is the generator which basically connected to the grid. So now for the time being, for the purpose of simulation, what I have done is that I have just assumed that I am connecting the wind power generation system to the grid, which is basically infinite grid. You might be knowing that an infinite grid is a grid wherein the frequency and voltage of that point of connection is almost constant, right? So that is not a simply infinite grid. So that's why I have put this infinite grid voltage VB and 0 degree. B is simply bus voltage, infinite bus voltage. So that is connected to transmission line, and let's say the stator current which is coming out from the generator, that has something like this. So if you are simply using the Ohm's law and doing the difference between the stator voltage and infinite bus voltage, and there is in between the transmission line XT. So you simply I equals to V by R, like that kind of thing. So simply VB minus VS upon X, that is all, in terms of some complex algebra. So in that way, the stator voltage and stator voltage basically, this is Q component, D component will be something like this. And the active and reactive power which is being fed to the grid can be written in this way. This is very much simplified way. So active and reactive power which is being delivered to grid will be depends on the stator voltage of the DFIZ, as well as infinite bus voltage, as well as the angle difference of stator voltage as well as infinite bus voltage. So basically infinite bus voltage is 0. So that's why this theta S is nothing. This is the angle of the stator voltage. That is all. And XT is the reactance of the transmission line. Right. So now we have, let's say if there is the rotor voltage 0, what we have discussed up to now, since we are discussing DFIZ, and if the DFIZ has zero rotor voltage, let's say we are short circuiting the rotor connection, so that's why we are putting the rotor voltage 0. So if there is no rotor voltage, that means that generator will react like a induction generator. And this control, or I mean when rotor voltage is 0, then that kind of control I have put their name is open loop control, right? Open loop control means I can manually change the rotor voltage and as per our requirement. Simply in for the purpose of simulation only. Here I have just put the for the purpose of simulation only, because I have not put the controller yet into the system, right? So if the rotor injection of the DFIZ is adjusted manually as an input, it makes the DFIZ system under operation in open loop control. As I already said, if I am manually changing the rotor voltage without putting the converters in its rotor circuit, then it is simply in open loop control. And finally, for the to perform the stability analysis and its simulation, what I have did is that I just simply converted all these mathematical equations in some DAE model. There is some model, differential algebraic equation model in mathematics, and there are some tools available in the MATLAB also, which basically can be used for the solution of the differential algebraic equation. So before going through the simulation through DAE, I have linearized the complete mathematical model of the wind turbine system to find the stability of the system, whether this is small signal wise is stable or not. So that's why I have linearized in this way by making it in a simple state space model like x dot equal to ax plus bu. Here A is the system matrix, which basically gives the small signal stability of the system. Since this is linearized at a specific operating point, so that's why this is I must say this is a small signal stability, because in the case of linearization we just have some we used to linearize at an equilibrium point, and the deviation from that equilibrium point will be very lesser. That must be lesser, then it will work perfectly. So here I have taken some variables and like input, here is the states and here is the algebraic variable. These are some input controls. So in this way I have calculated this matrix A through the algebraic equations, differential equations, then algebraic variables, state variables and all. And so this is the eigenvalues of the matrix which I have got from here. I found this matrix A through all the parameters of the generator system, and here is the eigenvalues of the of that system which I have described here. So see there are four various eigenvalues which has been found out from the system matrix A after linearization. So what exactly the purpose of this one? The purpose of this calculating the model analysis or to finding the eigenvalues is to find the small signal stability, or to talk about the small signal stability of this system, right? So here see these first lambda 1, lambda 2 and lambda 4 are the oscillating states, oscillating eigenvalues, or I must say these are the states which is being oscillating, or this is these eigenvalues are basically showing the transients, or I must say the disturbance in the wind energy conversion system. Whenever you put some disturbance into the wind energy conversion system based on DFIZ, that will reflect in all these terms, or I must say in these frequencies and these damping factors. So see here this lambda 1 is of 50 hertz, this is about 10 hertz, this is about 0.5 hertz, right? And the states which are being participating in these eigenvalues are, see here is the stator currents, so that's why it is electrical. Why this mode is electrical? Because only electrical states are participating. Here in this one, electrical plus mechanical also participating, so that's why this is electromechanical. Here is since this is non-oscillating, because there is no oscillating term, so that's why this is non-oscillating mode. And here is only mechanical, because twist angle and turbine speed both are mechanical parameters, so this is mechanical mode. So if you are operating a wind energy conversion system based on DFIZ, and if it is operating at open loop, then it will behave according to these eigenvalues. I'll show you by the time response analysis also, by in simulation also. And here there are three oscillating states which will be there in the response of the this wind turbine. So see to to validate all these eigenvalues or the modes, I have simulated and I have put one disturbance into the system and found the response. See, here is the response. So as I already said, I have made the mathematical model in DAE, and I have solved through some solver, that is ODE15S solver or the MATLAB. I have put one disturbance. See here at t equal to 2 seconds. What I did is that at t equal to 2 seconds, I have put one voltage dip from 1 to 0. Let's say that this generator is connected to the infinite bus, and infinite bus voltage I have taken 1 per unit in nominal condition. And for a time being, I have put that 1 to 0 degree, 0 voltage. I have put the infinite bus voltage from 1 to 0 and immediately 0 to 1. So about 0.2 seconds, I have put that infinite bus voltage 0. So that is kind of voltage dip at the infinite bus. So when I put the voltage dip at the infinite bus, the response of the generator will be something like this, or the active power output of a generator of the wind power generator or the DFIG is something like this. See the response, if you are zooming in this response, it will be something like this. So when you are calculating the frequency of this outer or the big oscillations, see here is the big oscillations, right? So if you are calculating the frequency of these oscillations, this will be about 10 hertz. Why? So if you are calculating the time from peak to peak, any two peak to peak, let's say here from this peak to this peak. So if you are differentiating the time between these two, you will see that this will be some time, and it will be, if you are calculating the frequency, then f will be 1 by t, 1 upon time period, right? So it will be, I'm sure it will be about 0.2 seconds. So if you are if you calculate the frequency f equals to 1 by t, 1 upon 0.1 basically, so that becomes 10. So this higher this is actually higher speed, or this higher frequency or the 10 hertz, which is basically showing the mechanical oscillation, sorry, electromechanical oscillation. Okay, so this is mechanical oscillation, not electromechanical, because this is the frequency of 0.5 hertz only. So, and the frequency of these oscillations, which is here zoomed, if you are calculating peak to peak from here, you will see that the frequency of oscillation for this part is about 10 hertz. You can find by just finding the difference between the time of any two peak to peak. So that will be about 10 hertz. So what I mean to say is that basically this time response analysis is validating the small signal stability or the stability of the wind energy conversion system when it is operating at open loop. Open loop means when there is no controller, we are just putting the rotor in short circuited. Right, so this is the stability analysis, small signal stability analysis of this DFIC based wind energy conversion system. Now coming to the controllers. Okay, one more thing in open loop control. See here, I have drawn the active power, generator speed, and turbine power coefficients also at the different at that same kind of disturbance at the different rotor voltage. Since I already told you about this one, that I am manually changing the rotor voltage, since we are not having controller in this case, in the case of open loop. So I am manually changing the rotor voltage, which basically reflecting that how can the rotor voltage affect a DFIG operation. So these three curves basically showing that how a rotor voltage will affect the operation of the DFIG. Right, so see here in this green and then blue and red curve, I have put the different value of this VDR and VQR, and see the active power out of that is different. Even then the wind speed is same. One of the important thing is here is that although I am changing the wind speed at t equal to 2 seconds from 12 to 13 meter per second, I am changing the wind speed from 12 to 13 meter per second. So obviously the active power output of the wind turbine or the wind energy conversion system will be higher, because when we increase the wind speed from 12 to 13, the output power will be higher obviously. But see, if we are having some optimal value of the rotor voltage, then it may give the maximum, good power out of it, right? See, in this specific curve, this is the active power output when the wind speed increases from 12 to 13. See, in the blue one, which is basically VDR VQR equal to 0. So if we are putting this, operating this VDR VQR 0, then it gives the higher amount of electrical power output. While if you are putting VDR VQR something like this, see red one, at this situation, this will give the lower power. And maybe some combination of the VDR and VQR will be there, wherein the output power will be more higher as compared to this blue one. So how can we get that combination of VDR and VQR so that we can have the good amount of power? That can be adjusted through some MPPT controller. So this basically curves also showing the importance of the MPPT controller. How can we increase the output power of a wind energy conversion system through rotor control in the DFIG? Right here is generator speeds. See the different VDR and VQR values. The turbine speed is also different. So you can understand that even we are putting the control from the rotor side of the generator, the turbine speed or the generator speed will be different. Basically, this generator speed is almost same as turbine speed because that is mechanically coupled, right? So electrical generator or the generator speed and turbine speed will remain almost same. Why? Because these are mechanically coupled. So see, if you are changing the rotor voltage, the speed of rotation of the shaft will also be different, right? So we can adjust the speed of the generator to run it at its optimal value so that we can operate it at its MPPT values. Similarly, this is the turbine power coefficient. See, at a specific combination, red one, see this, if you are having VDR VQR like this, then we are having good value of CP, that is turbine power coefficient. And you might be knowing that as we have already discussed, that this output power will be directly proportional to CP. So if you are having good value of CP, that is turbine power coefficient, then it means we are having good amount of output power. So that's why at this specific combination, we are having good amount of power. So that these three curves basically showing that how can we extract the highest amount of power from the wind turbine through rotor voltage. So this is what the object to showing these simulation results in the open loop. Now coming to the controller, which basically automatically adjusts the rotor voltage according to our requirement, according to our reference values. So that's why I am here with the DFIC controllers. Although I will not go in deep about the block diagram, we just see the reference value as well as the output of these turbines, these controllers. So here is the machine side controller or the rotor side controller, which basically takes the this reference power for the MPPT. MPPT is nothing. Okay, I'll show that on curve also. And here is the reference stator voltage. So what exactly I am doing? This reference electrical power is PE ref is corresponding to the MPPT, and here is the VS ref, means we exactly want to have the constant, let's say 1 per unit voltage. So this is the reference voltage. So basically this machine side converter, this is basically injecting the rotor voltage to the rotor of the DFIG according to the reference value of this stator voltage equal to 1, and this is corresponding to the MPPT. So PE ref is corresponding to the maximum power extraction, that is MPPT, and VS ref is corresponding to the constant 1 per unit voltage. And accordingly, it will give the rotor voltage. Although I will not go in deep about the dynamics of this one, because we are using one technique, that is flux magnitude angle control. There is one more technique, DTC also, direct torque control is also that can also be utilized for the MPPT control as well as stator voltage control. So basically this machine side control is doing nothing. It is simply controlling the power according to this one and according to the stator voltage equal to 1. So it is basically maintaining the voltage at 1 per unit. So next controller, that is at the grid side controller, that is basically maintaining the DC link voltage, that is across the capacitor, at 1 per unit and rotor reactive power equal to 0. Because we are exactly putting the reference for the reactive power through rotor is basically 0, so that we will have the lower rating of the converters can be utilized. right? So that's why I am putting the reference value of rotor reactive power equal to 0. So basically this grid side converter is doing nothing. It is simply maintaining the DC voltage across the DC link capacitor, and it is maintaining the zero rotor reactive power, right? Further, the dynamics of the DC link capacitor can also be done through this way, since you might be knowing that if you are writing any equation like C for C, let's say in time domain, then you can write I equal to C dV by dt. So through that way, C dV by dt, and through that way only I have given here this dynamical equation of the capacitor, right? So this is PR is rotor power minus the grid power PG, the grid side controller. So in this way, okay, so in this way, up to now, what we have done, we have also modeled the controller also, grid side controller, machine side controller, and now DC link capacitor dynamics, right? So now because of the that addition of these controllers, the states will become like this one. Earlier, when we are talking about the open loop, there is only these states only. Now the number of states are increased, and these are something like that one. And again, the same thing I have done here also. When I have associate all the controllers, see the damping has been decreased. Although when we are controlling this DFIC based wind energy conversion system through some controllers, then the damping will be decreased. That means it may has higher oscillations in the case of automatic controller, or I must say the controllers are there. So that's why in the open loop control, usually that system remains more stable as compared to the closed loop, or I mean when we are having the controllers. Right here, here is the same way. Here is the modes. I have shown the modes in this kind of disturbance. When I have put the voltage for 10 to 10.2 seconds, that this is the voltage dip at the infinite bus voltage, and because of this voltage dip, the speed of the generator and active power will be something varying like this one, which basically showing the this is 80 point something, this is 10 hertz, this is something 0.53 hertz. So all are available here. C is 87.79.53. So basically what exactly it means, it is the mathematics is being validated through some time domain simulation. So this exactly showing the dynamics or the practical oscillation of the wind based power generation system, DFIG based power generation system. So further here is again increasing when the controllers are there, by changing the wind speed like this one, 12 to 12.5, the speed of the generator will be some increasing accordingly. However, this is the optimal. The red one is the optimal according to the MPPT. But since the generator and turbine has inertia, so that's why it will not immediately reach to the red one, but it takes time to reach to the optimal value. Similarly, here is the turbine power coefficient. See, here is the whenever there is the wind speed disturbance, the turbine power coefficient will be lower. Otherwise, it will remain 1. 1 means it is operating at MPPT. And when it is whenever there is a disturbance, this will operate at off MPPT. But since we are having controller, so that's why it will try, that controller will try to make it again at its MPPT operation. So here is the power during MPPT. Obviously, whenever the wind speed increases, the power increases. Similarly, whenever the wind speed decreases, the output power will be decreases. But it will also maintaining the MPPT. Further, as I said that I have put one stator voltage control also, and that is equal to 1. So that's why see here this blue one is the actual output voltage. See, if the wind speed is changing, so obviously the voltage will also be changed. But since we are having stator voltage control, so that's why it is remaining. It will try to make it 1 again. So that's why it is almost maintaining at 1. Similarly, DC link voltage, I have put the reference value 1. So that's why whenever there is the disturbance, it oscillates, but it again leads to the its nominal value or its rated value. And then here is the rotor reactive power, which I have set 0, as I already said. But although it is varying with respect to the change in wind speed, but it is again reaching to its reference value. So okay, I am having some Okay, so all right, I'm just completing within 5 minutes. So again, I have done the simulation, although in the last slide, whatever I have shown in the last slides also, that is about the step wind speed disturbance. But in here, I am putting the realistic wind speed. I have some realistic wind speed data that is being generated by TURBSIM. That is one of the tool of NREL. The NREL, that is one of the lab available, and the tools are available online. So I have generated that wind speed from that tool, and I have used that here. And here you can see the generator speed. As soon as wind speed increases or decreases, the generator and turbine speed will also be changed like this one. And the obviously turbine power coefficient will also be changing, since we have installed the MPPT control. So that's why the turbine power coefficient will remain almost nearby 1, because we have installed one MPPT control. So it basically drives to the wind energy conversion system at its value 1, or it is operating at MPPT. So right, so here is the optimal control. Although I'll not go in deep, I'll just briefly explain how this controller acts. This is linear quadratic regulator, which is basically an optimal control. Here, see, I have taken some measurements, and since it has, as I already said, ED dash, EQ dash, omega R, theta twist, omega T, these are the states, internal states of the complete wind energy conversion system. So what I am doing, I am taking some measurements and estimating all these states. So now these estimated states has been taken into the LQR controller, and basically this LQR controller is nothing U equal to minus KX kind of thing. If there is any student or the participant from electronics, electrical, or control engineering, they might be knowing that there is the feedback control U equal to minus KX, where K is something gain, which is basically coming out from this LQR concept, linear quadratic regulator concept. So this K will be found out through some energy minimization way. So we are minimizing the use of energy to control the WFI induction generator for the stability, or I must say the damping to improve the damping of this system, right? So here all these states will be fed back to the controller, and it will basically stabilizing or improving the damping of the system. So here is this LQR controller is nothing U equal to minus KX, where K is the feedback gain, which basically found out through some Riccati equation, although there is some mathematics behind this one. We will not go there, but there is the ARE algebraic Riccati equation is there. When we solve that equation, we can find the gain K, which is basically an optimal value, and X is nothing, X is all these states which are here. So through that way, when we take this controller, it will basically stabilizing or improving the damping of this LQR, right? So this is the mathematical way. Here is the DF. All these states fed back to the input with the input, right? So in this way, on one more thing is that here this is the J, this is the energy which is to be minimized. Okay, is there anyone? Okay, so I'm completing within 1 minute. So here by minimizing this energy, and we are having this K. So through this control, this feedback control, state feedback control, we will basically damp out the oscillations which are there with the DFIG, right? Also, I have compared that with one power system stabilizer. This is one of the conventional control which is there with the synchronous generators, which can be mathematically written by like this one. And here, see, this is the LQR control through which if there is the LQR control, see, the damping has been reduced, damping controller has been reduced. So it basically improving the damping. Here you can also see the different, different scenario, weak grid and strong grid. If we are having this strong grid, that means that system will be more stable, while if you are having weak grid, then the system will remain will be less stable. So see here there is a specific case, C minus, negative of damping. That means this system will not stable at all in the case of weak grid in this mode, through this mode. But whenever you are applying the LQR here without control, without LQR control, but whenever I have applied this linear quadratic regulator control, then the stability has been into C. This is positive. So that means it is damping very well. So further, here are some of the responses. Since I have used the estimation, so first I have tested the estimation. So it is perfectly estimating, because since this blue one is the actual, while red one is the estimated state. So I have estimated the state, and see here is the response. So without LQR or without PSS control, there is the higher oscillations. But as soon as I install these kind of controls, it basically improving the damping or the stabilizing. So okay, the energy, as I already said, this is the minimum use of the energy. So in the case of LQR, the energy use is C. Here is compared to the PSS, this is lesser. The amount of energy being used in the case of LQR controller is lesser as compared to the PSS, since this is optimal control. So that is why it is using lesser amount of energy to controlling the entire mechanism. So so here again I have put some voltage disturbance, and same I have found out that the control, that is LQR control and PSS, are performing well, and they are damping the oscillations very well as compared to the PSS. Then here is the conclusion. So although I have discussed about the mainly about the optimal control through linear quadratic regulator, but I have also studied a lot about the I have also presented a lot about the modeling of a conventional DFIC based wind energy conversion system, all kind of equations, so that we could be able to find the small signal stability, as well as simply time response analysis. So the time response analysis can be used to validate the small signal stability also. So that is basically known as modal analysis also. So this is all about for the today's presentation. So if any one of you have any query, they can ask here. I even can go to that slide if you have any doubt, any query. So I'll post the attendance here, because I am here only to write somewhere. So I'm stop. Should I stop sharing, because I have to show from my mail? Otherwise, actually there must be privacy for that one. Okay. So anyway, I am stopping sharing, and I'm sharing the attendance link. So that will be live for next at least 15 to 20 minutes. So you must be here only. So this is the session 3rd for day 2. So okay, all right. I am copying and pasting the attendance link into this chat. So I hope you all can see the chat box. So I have posted the attendance link for this session into this in this class, Google Class, so Google Meet. So please record your attendance by clicking on the link. So with this, I once again thank you all the participants for listening me very patiently. Although I want to complete within 1.5 hours, but it takes much more time. Actually, the session which is designed by the Airtel, that is for 2 hours. Although this 2 hours is quite big, so although I am here for throughout the day, but I think it's okay now. So if any one of you have any query, any feedback about the presentation, or about any session, you can please talk.